Great to have with us as our halftime guest, Leland Reddy, who, I don't know, Coach, maybe you've taken on even more responsibilities. I know from year one to year two, you added to your list of things you had to do as the coach at Georgia Military. What about this year?
Yeah, so I'm the assistant head coach, and um, that's all comes with all kinds of fun responsibilities that you know it's interesting. Like I said, it's a lot of ends up being a lot of administrative stuff, that kind of deal, but exciting. It's good. I appreciate Coach for giving me the opportunity to do that, and you know along with all the offensive stuff that we do, it's been good. So
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, because I can be wrong so often. This is year number three for you?
that's right. Yep, yep.
All
Year
right.
three.
So in this third year with Georgia Military, coming from the high school ranks to the junior college ranks, tell me about that comfort level. Do you feel like you get more comfortable with each and every year?
Well, look, in this world, and I think this is college football in general right now, is there's so much turnover just in general. I'm much more comfortable with how we operate at Georgia Military. We've been able to, our administration has been phenomenal in supporting us and giving us some more resources to be able to add staff and retain staff, which has been an absolute game changer from when I first got here. Really excited about that. So I'm more comfortable with how we operate, but you're never comfortable with these teams because there's so much turnover. You go into the first game, and the vast majority of your kids, and it has been the same all 3 years here, have never played a college football snap before. And so that part, and you can really see it through the first three games with us. Like, again, I'm comfortable from the standpoint of, hey, I understand how this travel works now. That was a big thing, but I understand that now. I understand how our home games operate. I understand how we do things throughout the week, and I have a lot of input in that. But from the team standpoint, I don't think I'm still not comfortable, and we're going into game four. So that's some comfort level, sure, but a lot of
Well,
things still now.
tell us about that adjustment because, I think about it at the high school level. Heck, you might have a kid 6 years at
There's
the
no
high
doubt.
school level. That's not
Absolutely.
going to
Look,
happen in junior college.
no, sir. No, look, and because we have so many qualifiers here now, we have a lot of 1 year guys. Last year, and I may be wrong on the number, but we had 30 something guys sign out of here last year, and a lot of those were first year guys, and we'll have way more than that this year. But yeah, like when I was at Coffee High School, like before I came here, we had kids that they came up through the elementary program to the middle school program, and like everybody ran our stuff. So when they got to me as a 10th grader, they were very familiar with what we did and how we did it and all those kind of things. And here you're starting brand new over every summer. So
And two, with today's athlete, and I don't have hands-on experience, so I don't know, and you do, but it seems like the athlete is changing quickly. It's a different personality, different mentality, different expectations. So, as a coach, do you find yourself changing year to year? Are there things that are different about you, or do the players have to adapt, or a combination?
I think it's definitely a combination. I really believe in some of the ways that we do things. I really believe in, the importance of building relationships with kids and coaches, and how important that is, and just how you go across. And I think that those things don't change. I think some of your presentation has to change sometimes. And I think that, again, go back to that relationship piece. I think there's a lot of stuff that you've got to do a great job of really quickly and through the recruiting process, and once they get here in the summer, of quickly learning who these kids are so that you can adapt as the coach to how they best respond. There's some things that'll always be non-negotiable. Effort, physicality, ball security, like those things are going to be the same, and kind of how we do some of those things doesn't change, but some of those things never change. But the presentation, I think, changes because I mean, look, I have to handle some of these guys. I coach the quarterbacks, and like the way that I handle Kurt and Jalen Brown is very different than how I dealt with Chip last year or the last 2 years. So that's different, but I think that's the truth everywhere. You got to learn your kids so that you can know how to best meet them where they're
All right, let's talk about the team. You mentioned the quarterbacks. I wanted
at.
to start there anyway. So you've used three different quarterbacks in every game this year. I get the impression, and correct me if I'm wrong, unless there's an injury, we're probably not going to have one QB take every snap in a game.
I don't think so, and I mean, it's I would say that it's not the way that I like in a perfect world would want it to work out. But if you start, like Jalen Brown, he's a third year player, right? Was at Iowa Western, transferred to us, played as the backup last year, and there's a lot of things that he does really well. I go back to Kurt. Kurt's probably the most talented kid on our entire football team. But he's still learning and growing. And sometimes he needs that older kid to help. And he and JB have been phenomenal. And then you've got Caden, who really, as a junior, won a state championship in the state of Georgia, running some of the similar type looks that what we do with some of our single wing short yardage package. And it was a great way for me to get one of our freshmen an opportunity to play some. And then it's just worked out that two of our games that he's really played a decent amount at the end of the game. And like I said, he played that last drive against Iowa Western. But I trust all three of those kids completely. They all have a little different skill set, but it's been good, and they've been good together, which is the most important thing. Is figuring out the dynamic of in the room, how do they interact with each other. This past game, really, I rolled those guys in interchangeably in different situations, and they all handled it great. And I'm excited with where it's at. I think it's going to be a ever evolving situation throughout the year. But I like where we're at, and I love the three guys that we're playing. So
I have not sat down to read the stats and compared this year to last, but it certainly feels like we're throwing the football more this year. So is that going to be the game plan for the rest of the year, or is that just the first three games?
man, listen, it's so funny because it is like the hot button topic around our locker room, because look, I unashamedly, I want to run the football. But man, we have got some phenomenal wide receivers. And I think that I would be doing us a disservice to not give them some opportunities. Now, I'll tell you this, when it gets to the point where it's down to the wire, we have to be able to run the football to be successful. And I don't think that I could ever change. Um, that's just who I am. But I do think that just I'm just trying to do a great job with the players that we have. I think that we've got a lot of really talented kids out there. Um, and there's definitely some opportunities in some of these early games to get some of those guys some opportunities because, like I said, everybody wants to get recruited. Everybody wants to have those opportunities. And I tell all these guys when I recruit them, this is it. I'm going to try to win and then get you recruited in that order. And if the best way for us to win is to throw the ball a little bit more, yes, for the first time ever in the history of the 3 years that I've been here, we threw it more times than we ran it, and I don't see that being a continued trend. But it definitely, I definitely think that this team is different than, and a lot of that goes to the quarterback. Our quarterbacks are more comfortable throwing the ball. We've got really good receivers. We've got a great O line up front. Our running backs catch the ball well. I mean, look, we've got an SEC tight end. We've got multiple FBS tight ends, and they all do a good job in all of those areas. And I think that it's just something that's going to be more than it has in the past, but I would not expect it to be maybe what it was this past week.
Yeah, I've been streaming Georgia Military College football, I guess about 12, 13 years now. I do not recall ever seeing 11 different guys catch a pass for GMC in a game. That happened last Saturday.
Yeah. I did not even, I mean, I guess I probably did know that, but I didn't realize it was 11. That's crazy. Look, listen, there was times last year we didn't throw the ball 11 total times.
That's
So,
right.
so like I said, I'm excited with kind of where we're growing, and there's every year that I've ever been a coordinator, and even the years when I was an assistant or whatever it may be, your team kind of becomes something as the year goes on. And I really think this team is still trying to figure out what we are. I'm not convinced of that we have found our identity, and that's probably one thing that I hope that over this next 3 game stretch that we can really establish what our identity is. I think that we've got a lot of talented players. I think that we've got a lot of things that we can do. But what is it that we're going to hang our hat on? Again, for me, that's going to be running the football. How we do that, I think, is going to look different than in years past. Obviously, the last 2 years we ran the quarterback a lot. Depending on which quarterback we're playing with on a particular drive, I think that that's maybe going to look a little different than it has in the past. So we'll see.
I always like to ask, and this is being aired at halftime. So, what are you doing at halftime? What's the process for Leland Ready?
Yeah, for me, I have a coach that's up in the booth with me, who charts the plays, and in between drives, I mark things on my call sheet, things that worked, things that I thought would work that didn't work, and kind of just make those notes as we go throughout the first half. And then I'll take a minute or two at the end of the half and just kind of try to process what that information. Um, and you know that I'm up in the booth, so all the rest of our offensive coaches are on the field, and I try to just take a minute to, because everything just happens so quickly. I try to just take a minute, process what information that I have there, look at what's been good, what's not, because as soon as I get down on the field, we get with the offensive staff and, hey, here are my thoughts. And then I want to hear their thoughts. Hey, is there something that you're seeing? Is there something different that you feel like, where do we need to adjust? And, because you really only have about 5 or 6 minutes to do that. And so we do that as a staff. Okay, hey, here are the couple of things. I try to keep it to no more than 3 things that we're going to adjust if there's something, big areas. I get in, I talk to the entire offense, explain to them quickly, hey, here's where I think that we were good. Here's the things that I think that we need to improve, and here's our plan for the second half. Then we break off into individual positions. You got about 2 or 3 minutes with the individual positions, kind of talk through whatever those specific things, how they break up, and then we're back on the field. And so we try to do it systematically and make sure that we have a good process, because if not, that stuff will get away from you and you don't get accomplished what you want to get done at halftime. So that's kind of how we operate, and then try to give the kids a few minutes to just take a breath as we go back out on the field. So
Well, Coach, congratulations. I mean, this is a team that's averaging 60 plus a game thus far this year. So that offense is high powered, 2-1. I know you're disappointed in what happened in Iowa, but heck, that loss a year ago didn't keep him from making the Final Four. Don't expect it making things different this year either.
right. Yeah, that's um look, we can't worry about what the standings are. We can't worry about, we did not play to our standard when we went to Iowa. I think there's a lot of things that attribute to that. And again, like I said, I think we're learning this team, but I'm excited about who we got. I'm excited about where we're going. And we just got to win the next one. And that's the only thing we can worry about. And the rest of that stuff will take care of itself. So,
Coach, appreciate you being our guest. And maybe we'll do this again before next year.
Absolutely. Anytime, man. Thank you so much for all you do.
Thank you.